Yo, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Kamen Zero Spike back again once again. And today, people, today we're here for Bakuage Sentai BoonBoomger episode 13. And hey, man, our three idiots, Itasha, Buffum, and Yadu, they did it for me in this episode. They did it for me. They actually proved that they can actually be menacing, and they can, well, I won't say menacing, but they actually proved that they can be a threat. They can be a threat given the right tools and the right push. They can actually be like a real threat and actually, you know, comparable, because this episode that killer robo they got wasn't nothing to mess with, and I'm glad that we did not like full on destroy it in this episode. We see that this robot was created by King-Ohger, so he also created his own version of the Boom Boom Changer in this episode, which was actually dope. I actually was like, okay, cool, like this guy is actually gonna be like the threat. He's gonna be like the scientist dude working in the background, providing these technology and upgrades and modifications and stuff like that in the background to give out to these other villains to make their stuff like that more, you know, like more successful in a way. So in this episode, we did see that their team is basically working on two brand new Boom Boom cars. We have Boom Boom Safari and Boom Boom Marine. And we didn't see Marine in this episode. We see Marine in the next episode, but Boom Boom Safari is gonna play a big role in this episode. We see that these new Boom Boom cars are actually made with an AI, and they're a little bit sentient. So when they get activated, they don't trust the team off rip. So yeah, they're being created. They have full on been created. We see that Taya talks about how by them working with Go On Red and things like that, and seeing his versions of his cars actually inspire him to create Boom Boom Safari and Boom Boom Marine. So that was pretty cool. I'm glad that they actually acknowledged that and actually there's something that came out of that little crossover that we had. Like, yeah, he didn't leave them with like their own thing, but he left them with like inspiration in order to like increase their arsenal, making things easier for them and having more options for them whenever they come in contact with a monster or any trouble or anything like that. So we see that everybody's kind of working around the city. Everybody's got their own jobs and things like that. People are working, you know, they're just handling like regular businesses. We see Taya and Sashiru delivering things to people, you know, stuff like that, you know, just regular life things. And we see that King-Ohger is looking at this ultimate suit, this ultimate weapon that he has basically come up with, and he basically sends out R3 to go out there and antagonize the BoonBoomger and use this new secret weapon that he's come up with. So he sends them out, and we see that the three, they basically like call out the BoonBoomger. They call them out, and when they call them out, they get ready to like, you know, actually like fight them and things like that. And we see that Buffum actually, they end up like, they call their secret weapon, which is the Boom Boom Killer Robo, and it's basically like a dark kind of evil looking version of their mecha, except without the, you know, attachments and things. Like, it basically just looks like a black and orange Boon Boom. So they get ready to fight them, and they basically tell them to attack them, and it ends up like having like a radio on his chest, and it does like a frequency that basically seeps up all their energy, so like they're super tired and things like that all the time. So, and it sops up everything. It even affects Boon Boom, and he's not even there. I wonder, like, how did that affect him? Bro wasn't even there. So by it affecting even Boon Boom, like their regular their Boom Boom changers and them and like all their equipment is like not working. So we see that Genba just pulls a freaking fire extinguisher out of his ass and just like shoots them with the fire extinguisher, and they end up getting away. When they get back to base, they're trying to figure out like what can they do to stop the Killer Robo. So Genba basically gets an idea, and after hearing what from Sashu saying how like it shoot that frequency that shoots off the speakers on his chest, from what Taya said, the speakers on his chest, you know, if we can break it off, then you know it probably would reverse the effects and stuff like that. So Genba basically gets the idea to go and find the three, and when he finds them, he basically gonna like butter up to them and pretend that he's actually joining them, when in actuality he's trying to get their robo to pop up, and basically get their robo to pop up so they can find a way to destroy the speakers. So Genba goes off and he goes to them, pretends to be their friend, pretends to like them, but pretends that he's quitting the BoonBoomger and actually wants to work for them. And he starts doing stuff for them. He starts doing all kind of weird pampering them and things like that. And when he sees this, he's like, okay, so well, since the BoonBoomger are on the run and stuff like that, you know, how about you guys could become the next BoonBoomger? So he pulls out 3 masks, and he pulls out red, blue, and a pink mask, and he basically gives it to them. We see that Buffon, he puts on blue, Yadukar, he puts on red, and Itasha puts on the pink, and they basically do their own little version of the roll call. And then that's when the since they basically called themselves the BoonBoomger, the freaking Killer Robo activates on its own, and it basically shoots them with that frequency that was giving off to the other BoonBoomger, and it basically sops up their energy and things like that. We see that the other team, while Genba was buttering them up and pampering them and things like that, putting his plan into motion, we see that the rest of the team was off in the middle of the city looking for Genba because they thought that he went out to fight them all on his own. So when they see him pampering and doing all this stuff, I'm so glad that they didn't do the thing where, oh man, you know, he joined them and stuff like that, and you know, they turned against him and stuff like that. I'm so glad that they didn't do that. I'm glad that this team knows each other. They're all friends. They know each other. They trust each other, you know, and I'm glad that we didn't do that whole trope of immediately turning against someone as soon as you see them doing something that you think is shady, you know, like immediately just turning against them. I love that they did not do that. And yeah, it was a great little change of pace, because I'm like, oh, thank God they didn't do that. So since our 3 are now affected by Killer Robo's basically affected by Killer Robo's, you know, effect and things like that, we see that now that you know, everybody's basically freed of the frequency thanks to Boon Safari. We see that Safari actually comes and destroys the speakers, the little radio speakers on its chest, and now Boon Safari has put its trust in Genba. So basically it seems that Safari is basically going to be mostly working with Genba. So now that everything's well and good, everybody got their energy back, you know, the speakers have been destroyed and things like that, we see that everybody basically hinges up and they get ready to fight the Killer Robo right after our 3 have jumped in it and started to pilot it. So now we have our mech fight. It's dope. They're having a hard time fighting. They're having a hard time fighting them because they actually know how to fight. And we see that they end up using Boon Safari to basically, like, when they use Boon Safari, it's basically very animalistic. So it basically is kind of like a beast, kind of like maybe like a beast mode. They get like these big yellowish greenish claws on their arms, and because of that, Buffon he's really the one that's mostly piloting it. You know, okay, he's doing like all these martial arts moves and countering their attacks and stuff like that. But now that they're in Boon Safari, then they're actually able to like overwhelm him with like a fury of attacks and stuff like that. So overall, they end up defeating them, but they do not destroy the Killer Robo, and they end up defeating them and, you know, stopping whatever they're doing. Everybody goes back to the base. We see that now that Gimba is trusted by Boom Safari, now Mira and Joe are trying to get the trust of Boon Marine. So next episode we're gonna see Boon Marine in its glory and things like that. I don't know what it is. I thought it was like maybe it's gonna be like a dinosaur or something, but it seems like it's some kind of water creature. I don't know if it's a shark or anything like that, but I know it's gonna be water, like underwater creature, like related. Because next episode is gonna be like a Sashiru and Mira based like episode. But yeah, especially with also with Cannonborg creating these his own like Boom Boom changers. Would it be possible if they're like foreshadowing like him trying to make his own evil BoonBoomger team? You know, because he's made the mech, he's made the changer, like our three, you know, Itasha, Buffon, and Yadukar, like like all three of them like pretending to be BoonBoomger in this episode. It kind of feels like we might get like an evil BoonBoomger team later or something like that. I don't know, but this episode was great. This episode was cool. It was cool seeing them actually be like the main villains of the episode. No monster of the week or anything like that. It seems like they're also going to be the main, you know, mech fight in next week's episode too. So, but yeah, this episode was great, man. I love this episode. I love that they didn't do the turning on Gimba thing, and I love that Cannonborg is like that villain in the background creating stuff. Like, I do love it, and I do like the design of the Killer Robo and the new Boom Changers, even though they look very demonic. It still look dope though. Well, I'm like, man. But other than that, you guys let me know down in the comment section below what you guys think about this episode of Bakuage Sentai BoonBoomger. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. As remember, as I always say, guys, stay henshined.